I'm very proud of my heritage, being half Latino, but mostly growing up Latin and not Caucasian as a young boy. But I try not to focus on it, and I try not to get super political about my racial identity. However, every once in a while, I have to say something because the disgusting display of xenophobia against Latin people is just simply too much for me to swallow. Now, I would encourage all of you to look at the cover graphic for this video. It says everything. That's why we specially made it. And the question I'd like to ask all of you is, what's the difference? What's the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump? Donald Trump had Latin kids in cages. Joe Biden has Latin kids in cages. Donald Trump had Latin kids in cages his entire 4-year term. Joe Biden has kept Latin kids in cages the first 2 years and have basically ignored the issue and said we're not going to do anything about it. And at least Trump didn't laugh when they talked about Latinos stuck on the border like Kamala Harris. So for me as a Latino, when Trump was here and Biden and them are saying, we wouldn't tolerate this. This is not the decent America. I believed them. And then they did the exact same thing. So the only logical conclusion I can come to is Latino kids in cages is not an aberration. It's the real America. It's the decent America, the normal America, the decent America, because it happened underneath Joe Biden. And he was supposed to be the opposite of Donald Trump, and he did the exact same thing. And no Democrats and liberals who yelled and screamed at Trump yelled at him. So obviously that means Americans can accept Latin kids in cages in concentration camps on the border because they're doing it now under Biden. And he's literally doing the same thing under Trump. And he literally helped Obama design the policy under Trump. So nothing's really changed as far as Latin kids in cages. And think about that. Latin kids in cages, the exact same between the two guys, exactly the same. They criticized each other, did the exact same thing. That's how they treat Latin people in concentration camps style conditions last seen in World War II in the Warsaw Ghetto. So let me show you this now. And keep this in your mind. What is the difference? What is the difference? Okay? So here's Donald Trump. Take a look at this.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
That was the phrase when I knew Donald Trump was a racist. I've argued with many Trump supporters, and they say, name one thing he said is racist right there. He said, they're rapists. Let me play that again for you.
Problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
So he could have said, they are bringing drugs. They are bringing crime. They are bringing rapists. They are bringing drugs, they are bringing crime, they are bringing rapists. He said they're rapists. So they are bringing X, they are bringing X, and now they are X. So they are versus their. So it's a tense switch in the English language. And if you look at the verbiage, he's using one type of verbiage, and then he switches from being specific about things that are coming from another place into just saying they're rapists, which can be interpreted as saying all Mexicans are rapists. Notice how the vocabulary switched. I did, published author. That's racism. He's saying all Mexicans are rapists, especially when he adds, after he changes the tone definitively to insert the phrase they're rapists, which means it's more like they are instead of they're. Then he goes, I'm sure some of them are good people. That's racism 101. Horrible, disgusting. An America I don't want to be part of. And many Californians said so too. Well, let me show you this.
Oh, it is a lie. I'm going to take on those rapist Mexicans. And he claimed, no, there's never been a president. Never been a president. Oh, it is a lie. I'm going to take on those rapist Mexicans. And he claimed, no,
this isn't about Ukraine and Hunter Biden. Can you tell me the difference? I'm going to tape on those rapist Mexicans. That's the decent president. And the one before here says they're rapists after talking about Mexicans. What's the difference? In the English language, both presidents are saying that Mexicans are rapists. And we have seen how Trump had Latin kids in cages. Now Joe Biden does too. And both of them say Mexicans are rapists. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, that was a flub. He didn't mean it. But what kind of country has leaders that make these kind of mistakes where they say a group that's 1/4 of the population is basically all rapists? Whoops, I didn't mean to say that. It's either a racist country or it's a country that has leadership so incompetent in a consecutive manner that it steps away from collapsing. I'll let you choose. Is America so incompetent or is it just that racist? Those are your two choices. Think hard before you answer.